Hello everybody and welcome to another mystery box function challenge. In the purple mystery box there is some math and your challenge is to figure out what it is. This is one of the last few days of this year-long series, so every day is a special challenge today and the math inside the box is going to be pretty darn tricky. If you'd like to try this out on your own, you can use the link in the description, and when you've got an idea, come on back and see if we get the same thing. All right, let's put in a 0. Okay, so 0 gives us infinity. So we've been seeing a lot of rational functions in the last few days, so this might be another one. Let's put in a 1. So that looks like a non-repeating decimal, so maybe a square root function, maybe a trig function. Let's put in a 2. Yeah, definitely non-repeating decimals. Let's put in a 3. And that's another non-repeating. Let's put in an approximation for pi, since trig is one of our possible candidates. And that's pretty darn close to 0. Let's keep going here. Let's do let's do 4. And 5. And 6. Let's do 6.28, an approximation for 2 pi. Yeah, and we're back close to 0 again. So the numbers aren't quite right here, and we have that infinity at 0. Let's look in the negatives. Oh, that is not what I expected there. How about -2? -3.14. It looks like we're kind of getting a mirror image, something reflected across the origin. Let's look a little bit closer to the to 0, and see if that's acting like an asymptote. Right. See on the negative side too. This is a strange one. So the non-repeating decimals and the fact that this goes down and up, changing directions, makes me think it's trig. Looking at being close to 0 at 3.14 makes me think of the sign. So remember, in our trig, we've got an angle starting here and going out to intercept the unit circle and the coordinates here. So at this coordinate 0, 1, the sign is the y coordinate. So sign starts at 0. And then it starts going up. Boy, what is going on here, though? The fact that it's undefined at 0 makes me think we do have some sort of thing, but this is not just 1 over the sine of x. So at pi, the sign will also be 0. And when we do pi here, we're getting about a half. So that's not exactly right, or -1/2. It's not close enough to that 0 to make me think that there's anything exact going on here. Let's look at pi over 2. So the other place that's an easy place to look here is pi over 2, and your coordinates here is 0, 1. So the sign should be 1 at pi over 2. So let's just put in a 1.6 to give an approximation for pi over 2. And we're getting 1.624, etc. So what could this be? What if we've got two parts that are being added together here? And, well, if we had one of the parts being something with x on the bottom, that would cause it to be undefined. So what if it's just the sine of x plus 1 over x or minus 1 over x? What would that look like at pi over 2? So at pi over 2, which is about 1.6, the sine part would be 1, and then we'd have 1 over 1.6. Well, that could be 1 over 1.6. That could add up to about that 1.6, etc. Does that make sense? Well, it makes sense for 0 because the whole thing would be undefined. Does it make sense for what we got at 2 pi? So here we are at 2 pi, and we're pretty darn close to 0. Oh, that does make sense, right? Because as you go out here, the 2 pi, you're going to have the sine of 2 pi, and that's going to be 0. And then you're going to have 1 over 2 pi, and as that number gets bigger on the bottom here, this part becomes closer and closer to 0. So at pi, we see it kind of close to 0, but not very. Here at 2 pi, we see it a little bit closer to 0. At 4 pi, we'd probably see it even closer to 0. So let's try a 4 pi. So 12 point 12 point something. So 12.8, 12.9. Let's do that. I'm not sure my approximation is correct, but we are pretty close to 0 there as well. I don't have any better ideas for this one, and I'm not sure exactly how to easily test the values. I think this hunch might be right. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, so 1 over x plus the sine of x. Let's graph this thing. What a weird looking function. So you can see the sine, it starts to resemble the sine function a lot more closely as you go further out because the numbers here in 1 over x become less and less significant. But here they get, those numbers become really significant. So that part of it gets very, very big as the sine itself is getting closer and closer to 0. Wow, that is a crazy looking graph. How did that go for you? Were you at least thinking trig? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.